Welcome in, Caden Formaster here and Mark Musgrave.
The voice you know.
It has been a good weekend, Mark. Lots of sports going on this weekend.
Yeah,
We're going to dive on into all of it.
Absolutely. Football, baseball, volleyball, all kinds of good stuff going on.
We're streaming on YouTube, and I'm trying to fix my camera. I was not prepped for this. I'll be honest. I was kind of rushing to try to get some stuff in and get stuff done for us here. So we're getting there, though. We're getting there.
You were out talking in the hall for the past 15 minutes, Caden.
Yeah, that's what I mean, getting stuff done. What do you mean?
I'm just giving you a bad time.
Nah, I was as I was doing that, we were coming into the studio today, and I'm like, oh, yeah, we should probably do that. We should probably get YouTube ready to go. So we're on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right now. So, yeah, fun stuff. But welcome into to our show today. We have Region 9, which, by the way, Mark, Region action this Friday night.
Finally.
It's about time.
Yeah, it's a good Monday because all of the preseason is behind us. High school, NFL, all behind us. Now football games really do count.
Yeah. And it's taken us a little bit of time, but we're here.
Finally.
We're ready to go. Yeah, I'm very ready for it to be here, to get underway. Again, it's been some time, but we have to talk about all the games that went on Friday night, and finally a good week for Region 9 teams.
Yes.
We've had two really down weeks to start, where across the board, if you look at the wins and losses, a lot of losses have been tallied up over the first 2 weeks of preseason, but it was a good bounce back week for most of the teams in Region 9 this last week.
Yeah.
The game you and I were at, Crimson Cliffs in Springville, we thought might be a tight game. It wasn't. Crimson Cliffs walked all over Springville.
Well, it took a while for both teams to get going. At halftime, what was it, 7-0 at halftime? I believe it was.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive that it was 7.
Third quarter was pretty intense.
Third
quarter was a lot.
Yeah, the third quarter is where Crimson really separated. They scored 21 points in the third quarter, and then Springville finally got on the board in the fourth quarter when they scored a touchdown to make the score 28-7. So first half was very competitive. One thing that we noticed was that Crimson Cliffs front seven, they really did stuff the Springville running game, which up until that game had just been running over everybody. So Crimson Cliffs, and then let's not forget Jay Sweeten. On the back end of that defense with 2 interceptions, had a great game. Certainly especially in the first half, where he had both those interceptions.
Yeah. By the way, I was just looking. Yes, it was 7-0 going into halftime, and then how early into the third? It was. Let's see here when they finally scored. Okay, so Mason. Mason Topalian, I believe is who it was, ran one in to get the first score of the third quarter. He then later caught one in the back of the end zone for another touchdown in the third. So it was a lot of Mason Topalian as well on the offensive side that was getting some things done. By the way, Malachi Alofapo as well, really coming out and showing what he's got this last week on the receiving end. He made some big plays. One of them, and I'm trying to remember if it was him or Peterson, that it got called back, and we figured out it was a 40-yard swing because of a penalty.
Yeah.
He basically had a 30-yard reception and then a 10-yard penalty brought him back. So again, stuff like that where it's like, look, they're looking good, and then the flags kind of get in their way. They still scored on that drive, if I remember correctly.
I think they did too.
Oh, because it wasn't too long after that Springville had a couple of big penalties that pushed them like halfway again to the goal after that.
Alofapo had 5 receptions, 97 yards, and a touchdown. So with his longest being a 64-yarder.
Yeah, that one was really solid.
Yeah, so they did look really good on both sides of the ball, not just defensively. We talk so much about how that defense really stood up to Springville, But let's not forget the offense really came to life in the third quarter and just put this game away.
Yeah, 21 points in the third. Just an absolutely solid performance.
Tyler West
by the way, it was McCord Christiansen. I think it's in Mason Valiant. It was McCord Christiansen that had the 2 rushing touchdowns, and he also had the receiving touchdown, and so he was just all over the place.
Yeah, Tyler West, 4 receptions, 44 yards, with his longest being a 34-yarder there. So, yeah, Steele Barbin had a great day passing. 18 of 23 for 262 yards and 2 touchdowns. Steele Barbin looking really, really good, really efficient as the Crimson Cliffs signal caller. So I like what Crimson's doing right now, and now we're into region play, and we'll be able to kind of get a feel of how our region's going to stack up, and starting this Friday.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to point out the games that are going on this week for region games, just so we can get that kind of out of the way, and you guys can have an idea of what games are going on. So the game of the week right here on the Fan Sports Network that you can listen to is going to be Desert Hills and Pineview. That's at Pineview. Of course, any game that we're doing is going to be streamed as well on the fansportsnetwork.com, so take that into consideration. Or easy enough, follow us on YouTube. That might be the easier way to do it. Just subscribe to our to the Fan Sports Network on YouTube. That way you can set those notifications and know every time that we go live with those games. We also have Hurricane is at Dixie, and then Crimson Cliffs is at Cedar. Hurricane Dixie is going to be broadcast as well. We'll have just 2 games this week. With it being Labor Day weekend, we have a bunch of people kind of in and out, and so we don't have enough for our 3 crews that we've been able to do. So with a bunch of people out, we're going to have to take a step back and only do 2 games. Still, 2 games right now. We're covering half of the games that are being played with Snow Canyon taking on Centennial as well. And that is a home game in southern Utah. So for those of you who want to see that one, you could go to Snow Canyon.
Oh, for sure.
That's a very visible game for you. So there you have it. So Desert Hills, Pineview, Hurricane Dixie, those are the games going to be broadcast on the Fan Sports Network.
Yeah, Snow Canyon has that first week bye, and they scheduled Centennial to kind of fill that gap. What's your thoughts with preseason, Caden? Not preseason, but with your bye week.
Sure.
With how physical football is in your bye week, as a head coach, would you schedule? Do you prefer them scheduling a game, or would you rather not?
From the coach's perspective, I personally would say no, don't schedule one. From a player perspective, these guys just want to go play a game, so they're going to say yes every single week. I don't doubt that any of those kids want to go out and play football. So from a player's perspective, I'm not even going to get there. But I think it can, especially some of these teams earlier in the region play, for them. And what's funny is the 2 teams that have it first, Snow Canyon and then Dixie, each of them scheduled games.
Yeah.
I would maybe consider just holding out a little bit, just because you're right smack dab in the middle of a season. I always worry about injuries, but you can't have that in the forefront of the mind. You also need to be worrying about, where's my team at? Do we need another game to try to just get better? Here's the thing, though. RPI comes into play. That game that you schedule is going to matter. Are you scheduling an opponent that might be a tough opponent? But if you schedule too weak of an opponent and you beat them, does it really help in the RPI? Not too much, because their win percentage isn't all that good, right? So, again, RPI, there's some strategy in all of this. To me, I just don't think it's necessarily worth it. I wouldn't do it, but I can also understand why teams would. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah,
There's a lot of factors that go into it.
With Centennial being an out of Utah school, the RPI doesn't really, they set that at 50%. So
yes, yeah, there's not much you can do with that.
There's really no risk. There's no reward if you win or if you lose. So they kind of just set that at 50% and go on from there. But, well, I lean towards not playing as well, just because football is so physical. And I'm not saying that Snow Canyon did the wrong thing here, or if you're Dixie and you schedule somebody in your off week, that's fine too. Hopefully, though, that you can rest some of those, those key players, especially if they're bumped up a little bit, bruised up a little bit, where they can take that extra time and heal up. But football is just so physical that, that week off of a game, not week off of a practice and things like that, but just taking that night off, I just think is how I would go. But again, I'm not a head coach at the high school ranks, so it's really just my thoughts on that. But just because football is just so physical, and if your quarterback or your one of your corners or your middle linebacker, that you're just putting the probability out there just a little bit higher to get injured.
Yeah, you really.
And I know
are.
you can't be afraid of that, but it's football.
That's where I lean, where it's like you can't be afraid of it, but you have to do it, right?
Yeah.
You have to still take it into consideration. By the way, for those of you who are wondering where the bye weeks land, real quick, let me go over that. So, and who is actually playing in a bye week, because I think that is interesting. So, again, as we mentioned, week 1, or should I say, whatever you want to call it, week 4, on September 1st, you have Snow Canyon, as we mentioned, this week, playing against Centennial. Next week is going to be Dixie's bye week, and they are playing against Beaumont. Then Desert Hills has the bye week, and that's a true bye week. They're taking it. Then Crimson Cliffs, they're hosting Stansbury that night. That should actually be a pretty fun game against Stansbury. Then Pineview, who's also taking the night off. You have Cedar is taking the night off, and Hurricane taking the night off. So of teams who are actually playing, Snow Canyon, Dixie, and Crimson, 3 of the 7 are playing during their bye week.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of interesting.
No question about it. Yeah.
So anyway, as we're talking, Crimson Cliffs, they get the win over Springville, 28-7. You can go back and rewatch that game if you want over on the Fan Sports Network YouTube page or the fansportsnetwork.com, and just check out the live stream available there if you want to go back and watch any of that action. It was a good game, a defensive game through the first half, a lot of trying to just stop that run defense, and I will say they did pretty well. They did a pretty good job.
Yeah, let's talk about the game that got Region 9 off to kind of a good start that day, where Desert Hills went up to Idaho to take on Minico.
In probably the best football stadium I've ever seen at a high school.
It looked really cool. It looked really nice.
It's the first time, I think it's the first high school that I have seen that doesn't have a track around their football field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They have enough land. They were like, just put the track over there. Yeah, why not? We can afford it.
For sure. Yeah, Bo Wall, back under center for the Thunder, was 12 of 24, 215 yards. Had a very nice game for the Thunder. Again, the Thunder are going to lean on Titan Mason, the junior running back, 26 carries, 123 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He had one of 100 plus. Again, that kid can really break them and just take off going. Riker May also had 2 touchdowns for the Thunder. He had 10 carries, 61 yards for a 6.1 average. Not too shabby. Looks like they got the passing game going a little bit with Bo Wall up under center. Javian Cummings, senior wide receiver, had 5 receptions, 127 yards. So, and that's been my thoughts on Desert Hills so far, watching their offense. Now, granted, they were playing against bigger schools, no question about it, being Brighton and Lehigh. But their passing game wasn't where I would like to see it. It sounds to me like up in Idaho, they kind of opened it up a little bit more, and they were successful in doing so.
Right. And that's exactly what you want from them, is try to take advantage of the dual threat of the run game and the passing game, because you do have some decent receivers back there. Bo Wall was back at it, so he's healthy again, which is good to see. And he passed 50%. You'd love to see that number go up a little bit more, but you can afford that with the opponent that they had. Again, it was a 38-12 game, so I'm okay with that kind of a passing percentage when you're up that high, because you're willing to take a little bit more riskier shots, and I'm okay with that. I like the idea of testing to see what you guys can do. That's fine, right?
And let's remember, this was his first game back.
This is his first game back, too. Exactly. So I'm not too upset with what Bo Wall was able to do there. Again, they got the win. He actually played really quite well, throwing for 215. That's great.
And he was good.
You'll take that anytime.
And he was good in the pocket and getting outside the pocket as well. He had 7 carries for 76 yards. So when it comes to all-purpose yards, he had total yards was 291 total yards. So
that's awesome.
That is awesome. So good job for the Thunder. And that was a big win for Desert Hills.
They needed it.
They did need it. You know, again, playing 2 big schools going in and being competitive in both, certainly through the second half, being competitive in both. They needed that W to kind of launch them into Region 9, where they take on a high-scoring Pineview right now.
Yeah, that's going to be such a fun game. I did want to point out one more thing. Ocean Taufa had 4 tackles. 3 of them were tackles for loss.
Yeah.
So he was really getting back there, and that's pretty awesome. But let's talk a little bit. I know that we've talked a little bit about Desert Hills. Let's go to that Pineview game because that is going to be the matchup of the week here on the Boulevard Home Game of the Week. This next week is Desert Hills and Pineview. So let's look at Pineview. And again, man, this offense just knows how to get the ball downfield. It's so cool. I'm so excited to see it. I haven't watched the Pineview game yet.
Yeah, me too. Adam Moore, junior quarterback, 29 of 36, 502 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. My goodness, put together a game, Adam Moore.
So Adam,
we see you. We see you, Adam.
Adam Moore right now has 13 passing touchdowns. He's got 3 rushing touchdowns as well. And he's at 65% completion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the region in his first year as a starting quarterback. That is so cool to me. I was going to look up to see if I could find let me see here. Okay, so he's already in 3 games. He's at 1,228 yards.
Yeah. He's having a phenomenal
passing yards
year so far. No question about it. And Moelangi Tonga, 15 carries, 97 yards, and a touchdown. Adam Moore also ran one in. And, you know, Quincy Jones, 7 receptions, 173 yards. Brock Harris, sophomore, 10 receptions, 116 yards, and not 1, not 2, but 3 touchdown passes for Brock Harris. Receptions, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah. All across the board, Pineview's offense just knows how to do it. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. I don't even know how else to put it. It's blowing my mind at the switch that they've had from last year, from just absolutely struggling to get anything done with the ball to where they are now. By the way, just because I looked it up because I was curious, Adam Moore is leading all of Utah, 1A through 6A, in total passing yards.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Zach Wilson's younger brother, Isaac Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, talk about good company. He's right up there with a quarterback that's committed to the U. So he's in really good company. It also
Wilson's in really good company.
Yeah, Wilson's in really good company with Moore. So. Is it sustainable? I think is one of the questions. It's been 3 games. Is that sustainable? It's going to be some tougher competition coming up here. Desert Hills will be a really good challenge for Pineview. But even in the game that they lost, they're still getting yards.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Is that the offense is still putting yards on the board.
Yeah, that Canyon View game was a shootout. So, yeah, they were definitely putting the ball in the end zone, and it's just the Canyon View did it just a tiny bit better that night. To get away with the win. So,
by the way, too, I just want to point out, just because of how well Adam Moore's doing, Quincy Jones is also leading the state of Utah in receiving yards.
I saw
at
that
575.
Yeah.
The next closest is again from Corner Canyon, is Tate Kajar. So, again, Pineview is just they're one of the top offenses right now in the state. That's just the way it is. One of the top offenses in the entire state with the amount of points that they're able to get out. And that is so cool. I'm so happy for him. You know, and this is, you know, I don't have any sort of bias towards any school in Southern Utah. So anytime any school has a performance like this, I just can't be happier for them. So I'm so happy right now for Pineview and what they've been able to do. And we'll see what they can do the rest of the season. But coming up, let's look at that Desert Hills and Pineview game. that's going to be a good one. Because, again, this might be one of the tougher defenses that Pineview has faced. But for Desert Hills, this is one of the better offenses that they've faced.
For sure. Ocean Talfa is going to really have his work cut out for him getting into the backfield and causing Adam Morrison trouble. We'll see what, who can break who can, impose their will onto the other team. You and I are going to be at that game. I'm so happy that it's us out there going to be taking care of this game, because it really should be a good one. I have, over the past 8-9 years, I have seen some Desert Hills, Pineview, just classics, and this could very well be another one of them.
It very well could be, with the players that we're seeing out there. And again, Bo Wall just getting a little bit healthier from that first week. I think that'll be exciting too, to see what he can do. All across the board, this is going to be a fun matchup. There's a reason why it's our game of the week, just because it's two teams that have a lot of potential right now.
And, it's one of those, both offenses are just so much different, where Pineview pass. Desert Hills is going to lean on the run more, so they're going to want to shorten the game up and keep that clock running, give Adam Moore and that Pineview offense the least amount of possessions as possible.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to need that running game to be going, and Titan Mason to have his yards and getting first downs and that kind of stuff, just to keep that clock running so that Adam Moore doesn't have that many possessions. It'll be very interesting, again, just to see who wins that, who can impose their will on the other person.
Right.
Pineview's going to want to struggle. They're going to want to score fast and often. Desert Hills is going to want to run the ball, slow it down a little bit, and, again, just minimize those possessions for Pineview.
Absolutely. Well, we still have a lot of games to talk about. We still have quite a bit of Region 9 that happened on Friday night, so we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be getting into all of that action from Friday night and more. So stick around with us right here on the Fan Sports Network. Hey, it's Caden Formaster.
And Mark Musgrave, the voice you know with the Fan Sports Network.
Check out our local sports radio show, From the Bleachers, live every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m.
Listen to us on the radio on 99.5 or 95.3 FM.
You can also listen through the Fan Sports Network app or watch the show live on the Fan Sports Network YouTube page.
The Fan Sports Network is your home of Utah Tech Trailblazers, high school sports, and the pros.
The Fan Sports Network, Southern Utah's home for local sports.
Did you know that St. George News has a new app? Download the St. George News app today and stay up to date on everything happening in Southern Utah. Get instant notifications on news, weather, sports, and more. Download the app today and get your local news now.
Media is everywhere. It's a part of our daily life, our routine, not just for entertainment, but to stay informed. Local media has the biggest impact on your daily life. It's what's around you, what matters. And at Canyon Media, our goal is to deliver the very best in local entertainment, news, and media. From our award-winning radio stations like 99.9 Coney Country to Southern Utah's #1 source for local news, St. George News, we believe in delivering free, fast, and accurate local news, entertainment, and information to all of Southern Utah through our entertaining on-air personalities and music, compelling local shows, and community events like the City of St. George 4th of July celebration and charitable events like Coney Coins for Kids. From our entire team of dedicated designers, videographers, salespeople, digital marketers, writers, and on-air talent, thank you for letting us be a part of your daily life. Canyon Media, here for you.
Hey, it's Sheldon Demke. Check out the latest episode of What's on the Menu, a behind-the-scenes tour of local restaurants. We'll see some of their favorite dishes and get an inside look on how these dishes are prepared. Check out this week's episode at stgeorgenews.com and click the shows on the menu tab. Check out this week's edition of TGIF on stgeorgenews.com. TGIF is your weekend adventure guide to all the fun and exciting things going on in Southern Utah this weekend. Find this week's edition at stgeorgenews.com and click the shows on the menu tab. Have a blast this weekend.
As a local business owner, it's important to get the word out about your business. More people equals more revenue for you. Get your business in front of over 160,000 people in southern Utah each week with St. George News. Contact St. George News today.
Welcome back, everybody. It is from the Bleachers here on the Fan Sports Network. Caden Formaster and Mark Musgrave.
The voice you know.
Welcome you into the show here and into the Findlay Hyundai studio with us on this Monday as we are wrapping up preseason Region 9. We're talking about that today. We've already gone over a few of the games, 3 of the games from this last weekend. We've got a lot more to cover, but don't forget, too, that this upcoming weekend, not only do we start Region 9 play, but it is the first Utah Tech game as well on Saturday, where the Trailblazers are going to be on the road, heading up to the great state of Montana, taking on the Bobcats. So
Big Sky Country.
Big Sky Country, that's right. So should be a good matchup. We're excited to have some Trailblazer football back on the air. Coach's show, I believe, starting off tomorrow night as well. So we're bringing you a lot more Trailblazer action coming up here shortly. So, and not to mention, if you're listening to the radio on Saturday afternoon, Bronco games now live here on the Fan Sports Network. So
incredible.
You Bronco fans, that's the first time I've heard you say something that is incredible related to the Broncos.
It is incredible. Hey, here's the deal. We have NFL on the Fan Sports Network. As you and I have always commented, NFL is king.
NFL is king. And well, you know what? Whether you like the Broncos or not, that doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
The fact that they're there is still really cool.
Absolutely.
We have tons of Bronco fans in the area. And I know
probably primarily
I feel like Bronco fans are, I would love.
Wouldn't you say that it's probably percentage-wise Broncos, 49ers fans here in Southern Utah?
I would throw Raider fans into the mix as well. There's a lot of Raider fans here, too.
There is. I think they're the next tier down, though.
I would love to do a
Raiders,
poll.
Chiefs, Cowboys.
I'd love to do a poll. Maybe we can do one, but the thing is we just have to have people share the crap out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd have to have it go all over because if we only have like 30 people show up to do the poll, I would love to know in Southern Utah what everyone's a fan of. Like what team has your fandom?
Yeah.
And then that way we can figure out, okay, well, which fan base is the largest in Southern Utah?
Yeah.
I think the Broncos would be really high.
I do too. I think they would be 1 or 2. With San Francisco being
San Francisco's going to be high.
1 or 2, mainly because of the Steve Young aspect of it all, and I get that. Raiders, Cowboys, Chiefs. I think those 3
Cowboys would be high. Chiefs, just because they're doing so well, I think a lot of people have gravitated towards it.
I think a lot of young kids have gravitated towards Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs because they're winners and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. Rightfully so.
Why not?
How else do you become a fan of a team, right?
Why not?
You have to become a fan some way.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you think there's so many Patriot fans in the world?
Yeah.
Because a lot of them were just like, oh, they're winning, so I kind of want to watch teams that win.
Why not?
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Where you at now?
Yeah. What would you say is probably the team with the least amount of fans in Southern Utah? The team in the NFL with the least amount of fans, if you had to just take a wild guess.
You know what? I would dare say I might just go Patriots.
You think there's not a lot of Patriots fans? I was going to go with like the Houston Texans or something like that. I don't know of a single Texan fan that lives in Utah.
Because with Patriots, you either love them or you hate them.
Yeah, but there's people that love them from here.
There's some.
I just don't know anybody that's like, I'm a Houston Texans fan.
Yeah.
Or a Jacksonville Jaguars fan.
Yeah, if you get those newer, smaller market teams, I could definitely see that being the case too. But
yeah.
It'd be interesting to do. We should put together some kind of a poll to see who has the biggest fandom here.
Maybe we'll get that set up on the website and we'll run it for like a month, so that way we have plenty of time.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that idea because I really do want to know.
Well, you know who Hurricane likes?
Beating Hillcrest. I'll tell you that.
They like the Tigers out there in Hurricane, and they beat the crap out of Hillcrest, 56-35. Gabriel had a nice game. 10 of 19 for 228 yards, 2 touchdowns. They had a big rushing attack with Dylan Gabriel as well. He's good with his arm, and he's good with his legs. Had 124 yards. And then Ethan Staples, the senior running back, 19 carries, 118 yards.
Ethan Staples had his moments last year, and it's nice to see him break out in this game.
Yeah, and he had a 100-plus run as well. So.
Yeah. I love it. I love that they're able to get this win. And we talked about how important this win was for the Tigers. Hillcrest is now a 4A team. They were 5A, and they've been bumped back down to 4A. So winning against a 4A opponent does really well for the Tigers come playoff season, and hopefully that would help push them into maybe getting a playoff spot. From what I understand, and again, I haven't seen anything official on this yet, but I had heard that they're not taking every single team for the playoffs again this year. That they might just be taking the top however many teams, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's a top 16 or whether it's something else, I don't know. But wins like this matter.
And I would assume either the top 2 or the top 4 teams
will get buys.
Yeah. And then if you did that, well, just say if you took the top 20, if you took the top 23 teams, the top 3 teams get a bye. Well, you got to do top 4, 1 from each region, possibly. I don't know if that's how they're going to do it, but so if you took 24 of 28 teams, that would leave 20 teams for 10 games in that very first week, with 4 teams getting a bye.
Yeah.
And then that would get down to, well, the problem is in the second round, then you have 9 teams in there. So you can't do that. Okay, I'm not going to figure this out on the radio because that's not very good radio.
And that's the thing, we just don't really know either, so we don't need to sit around and try to do the math of it all. But the point is, it would be very helpful with where you're at to at least be top 20.
Yeah.
You want to at least be top 20. You might be safe if you're top. I would assume you're probably safe if you're top 20. And I'm not exactly sure where that lines up right now with RPI, because the RPI is not out, and it won't be out for a couple weeks. You know, they'll put it out for a good stretch there for about, that's usually only about like a month or two, if that, a month maybe,
a month or so.
Where they have the RPI out, because then they'll take it down the last week or maybe even 2 weeks, just so people aren't tanking. Whether it's or tanking or, again, because in the past, if you got really, if you were, let's say, you wanted to lose a couple games so you could face off against a better team in the first, or a worse team in the first round, there's certain ways around it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Hurricane gets a great win against Hillcrest, against a 4A opponent. And next week they will play Dixie at home. Dixie, this is another game. This is one of those games that we have to talk about that's not going to be fun for Flyer fans. They went 0-3 in preseason.
That is so strange to see them at the bottom of the region standings right now.
Yeah, they are the only team without a win so far through preseason. So when you say they're at the bottom, yeah, they are. They are at the bottom, obviously, without winning a game.
So weird.
They played Park City well. Not through the first 3 quarters, but they played them well in the 4th quarter, where the comeback was just short of happening. And I should say in the second half, they did get 1 score in the 3rd quarter, but a couple scores in the 4th put them within a field goal of at least trying to tie it up, and they just were not able to capitalize at the end and make it work out. But Wyatt Truman ended up coming in to play quarterback. Brock Parrish obviously played for a little bit as well, but Wyatt Truman's the one that threw a couple of touchdown passes. He had 3 completions, 2 of them were touchdowns.
Yeah, and Brock Parrish, he was 8 of 27. That's not very efficient.
Just shy of 30%, 29.6%.
Yeah, that's not efficient at all. 1 interception. You mentioned 0 touchdowns. So, yeah, they brought in Wyatt Truman. He was 3 of 7, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And, I don't know if there's still a quarterback controversy over at Dixie, but we'll keep an eye on that because, again, looking at those numbers right there, you certainly got to think that Wyatt Truman just may have a shot at getting some more playing time.
Yeah, you'd think so. And a lot of Park City's offense, by the way, goes through Will McCurdy, their senior running back, who I believe I know he's been given college offers.
Mm-hmm.
I was just looking here, and I think he does have a commitment. He's actually going to go play at Davidson College for football. So he does have an offer to go to the next level,
right,
and play after this season. So again, he's a college running back. He's going to be, so we know he's good. And running for 136 yards is never a good sign when you're on the opposite side of that where the Flyers were. So tough break for the Flyers through preseason. Can they bounce back? They do have a game against Hurricane. And I will say this, Dixie did play up to a lot of opponents. We knew it was going to be a tough preseason schedule for them.
For sure.
Am I surprised they went 0-3? A little. But at the same time, with the competition that they had, I knew this was super possible. I think going against Hurricane, this is a game that Dixie can win. But with how well Hurricane played last week, they're going to be coming into this one with tons of momentum.
Oh, no question about it.
So this matchup is also going to be, we have two great matchups that we're going to be broadcasting on the Fan Sports Network. This one is going to be interesting between Dixie and Hurricane on Friday night.
Yeah, I totally agree. And man, don't count, after putting up 53 points, don't count the Tigers out.
No, not at all.
I think they have found they've found some good momentum, some good vibes, and Dixie still trying to find themselves a little bit. Yes, they did play tough competition, but it looks like there could be some quarterback controversy over in Flyer Nation. We'll just kind of keep an eye on that and see what happens, but it looks like they may have found something.
Yeah, I think
offensively,
because they might have.
Second half, they did put the ball into pay dirt, and they scored some points. So we'll see where they lean to in a couple of weeks, or this coming week, I should say.
Right.
NFL's in a couple of weeks. High school this Friday night.
NFL is in a couple of weeks, and we will definitely be covering a lot of NFL, but we are not there yet. Let's shift gears. Let's look at one of the games that a lot of people are looking forward to. And I don't know if you saw the videos on this. I watched the Region 9 recap on St. George News between Cedar and Canyon View. And it was literally standing room only. And I had this thought watching some of the clips from that game. Why do they not play this game at SUU? The amount of people that show up for this game, I'm sorry, Canyon View just doesn't hold them all. People were literally lined across the entire track. They had to bring in cones and caution tape and tell people to just stand behind it because both of the stands were that full. It is awesome. I love that many people showed up for this game. It's so cool. But it's just not a good enough facility, not a big enough facility for this kind of matchup. Take that game to SUU.
Well,
I think that's awesome. I think they would love to play it there.
Well, the problem with that, I'm sure they would have to rent that facility.
I'm sure they would. Maybe SUU could give them some sort of a deal. You'd think they would maybe be able to swing some sort of a deal
And
there.
I'm sure that they would or could, but that's, it's a money thing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then, for one of those teams that's going to take away a home game.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also kind of a home game for both in a weird way.
Yeah.
Even though the game was played at Canyon View, I mean, Cedar fans are going to show up. I mean, to drive from Cedar High School to Canyon View High School takes 5 minutes.
No, I know. I know what you're saying.
So, I don't know. But Canyon View, by the way, went 3-0 through preseason, playing against 2 Region 9 schools. I'm trying to remember who their third game was against, but either way, they won.
They're looking
really good
for 3A for sure.
I
think they're going to compete.
Yeah, that game was 20-17, and in the fourth quarter, both teams scoring touchdowns, so it kind of felt like it could be anybody's game. The last touchdown was scored by Cedar with 1:13 left to bring it within one more score, obviously, to bring it to what it ended up being, 2017. Just not enough time left on the clock to do anything with it.
Right.
So a tough break there for the Reds, but they got off to a hot start. They had 10 points through the first quarter, so it's 10-0. And then Canyon View goes and scores a 40-yard touchdown and then a 5-yard touchdown, making it 13-10 after a failed PAT. And again, like I mentioned before, that they scored with 2:43 left in the fourth quarter. A fast drive from Cedar gets it a little closer, but still not quite enough. So, overall, interesting game between those two teams. Go check out the Region 9 recap. Lots of good clips from it.
Yeah, there really is. Snow Canyon.
Snow Canyon.
Tank Kelly, 10 carries, 102 yards. He was 10 of 19 throwing the ball, 222 yards, 4 TDs, no interceptions. He had a great game against the Green Valley Gators, and the Warriors with a big win, 35-15. So congratulations to Warrior Nation out there. Samaj Thompson with 2 receptions, 89 yards, and a touchdown. Max Reynolds led the Warriors with receptions with 4 for 31 yards. So big win for the Warriors as they get ready for their next game, which will be an out-of-region game as well, and then they'll get into region play in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I really like what the Snow Canyon team is doing right now, and Tank Kelly is a big part of that. And we kind of knew what he would be. We knew that he definitely had some fight in him. We saw a little bit of it last year.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it in baseball as well. I mean, we know that this kid's an athlete, that he's going to give it his all every single night. But I don't think I was expecting this kind of performance from him this early in the season. He's looking really good as well. I mean, him and Adam Moore have really been some major bright spots.
They really
as
have.
far as
No
quarterbacks
question.
go in Region 9. And I love what Snow Canyon has done through the preseason, getting a couple of wins. The first game was not a great start for him, but they've been able to bounce back the last few. It's always a little iffy when you're playing those teams from Nevada.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know what they have. You think of the Bishop Gormans out there, and it's a little scary.
Yeah.
But Green Valley was one of those teams that they were able to just take them head on and get the win quite easily, it seemed. They have to do it again this week, taking on Centennial. So,
and hey, shout out to Tegan Whitehead, 13 tackles on the defensive side of the ball. So he was all over the gridiron.
Yeah, Tegan's a beast.
For the Warriors.
Ryder Holt was 7, so that was the next up. Kind of puts Tegan nearly double the next guy, and Ryder Holt getting 7 is pretty impressive in itself. So I love what Snow Canyon's doing right now. I'm excited to see what they can continue to do. They don't get into region play for at least another week after. So in their first region game, as we mentioned, next week they're taking on Centennial. This week taking on Centennial.
Mm-hmm.
Next week they will be home against Cedar. It'll be their first region game, and they will have again a full region schedule from then on out, getting that first bye of the region process, the region season. So that's pretty exciting in itself. Overall, great weekend, great Friday night of football. Only 2 losses from Dixie and Cedar. Everybody else was able to go in and get a win. That's pretty awesome, if you ask me.
Yep, I agree.
All right, let's take a break. We are wrapping up the first hour. When we come back, don't go anywhere, right here on the Fan Sports Network. Hey, it's Caden Formaster.
And Mark Musgrave, the voice you know with the Fan Sports Network.
Check out our local sports radio show, From the Bleachers, live every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m.
Listen to us on the radio on 99.5 or 95.3 FM.
You can also listen through the Fan Sports Network app or watch the show live on the Fan Sports Network YouTube page.
The Fan Sports Network is your home of Utah Tech Trailblazers, high school sports, and the pros.
The Fan Sports Network, Southern Utah's home for local sports.
Did you know that St. George News has a new app? Download the St. George News app today and stay up to date on everything happening in Southern Utah. Get instant notifications on news, weather, sports, and more. Download the app today and get your local news now.
Media is everywhere. It's a part of our daily life, our routine. Not just for entertainment, but to stay informed. Local media has the biggest impact on your daily life. It's what's around you, what matters. And at Canyon Media, our goal is to deliver the very best in local entertainment, news, and media. From our award-winning radio stations like 99.9 Coney Country to Southern Utah's #1 source for local news, St. George News, we believe in delivering free, fast, and accurate local news, entertainment, and information to all of Southern Utah through our entertaining on-air personalities and music, compelling local shows, and community events like the City of St. George 4th of July celebration and charitable events like Coney Corns for Kids. From our entire team of dedicated designers, videographers, salespeople, digital marketers, writers, and on-air talent, thank you for letting us be a part of your daily life. Canyon Media, here for you.
Hey, it's Sheldon Demke. Check out the latest episode of What's on the Menu, a behind-the-scenes tour of local restaurants. We'll see some of their favorite dishes and get an inside look on how these dishes are prepared. Check out this week's episode at stgeorgenews.com and click the shows on the menu tab. Check out this week's edition of TGIF on stgeorgenews.com. TGIF is your weekend adventure guide to all the fun and exciting things going on in Southern Utah this weekend. Find this week's edition at stgeorgenews.com and click the shows on the menu tab. Have a blast this weekend.
As a local business owner, it's important to get the word out about your business. More people equals more revenue for you. Get your business in front of over 160,000 people in Southern Utah each week with St. George News. Contact St. George News today.
Welcome back in, everybody. It is from the Bleachers here on the Fan Sports Network. Caden Formaster here and Mark Musgrave.
The voice you know.
And we are just about an hour into the show here on our Monday after the weekend. Lots of storylines to talk about still, and we've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
Talking a little Region 9 football to get things started.
Yeah. Let's move on to volleyball. There were a lot of volleyball matches over the weekend, and some of the teams in action. I saw Desert Hills, Lehigh, and Ridgeline all over the weekend. Desert Hills went 2-0 against those two teams. Now they took Bishop Gorman on Friday night. They took Bishop Gorman to 5 sets Friday night.
That's awesome.
I heard it was a very exciting, especially the 5th set, very exciting. And again, when you can take a nationally ranked high school to 5 sets, that definitely says something for the Lady Thunder. And then they beat Ridgeline Saturday morning 3-1, and they beat Lehigh, a 5A Lehigh volleyball team, 3-0. So Lady Thunder looking good right now. Cedar. Now, they haven't played as many matches, but they're 3-0. They haven't lost a set yet. They have swept all 3 of their opponents 3-0. So they haven't lost a set yet. They haven't played as many, but they just haven't lost. Snow Canyon, they're 3-1. Hurricane is 8-3. Desert Hills 8-4. Dixie 3-5. Crimson Cliffs 3-6, and then Pineview still yet to get on the board. They're 0-6. So Lady Panthers, hopefully need to get something going here, some positiveness, and get something on the board. So, but yeah, lots of volleyball going on. Region starts tomorrow for volleyball, so that will be very similar to football, where region starts this week. Tomorrow, you've got Pineview at Cedar. You've got Snow Canyon at Crimson Cliffs, and Dixie at Desert Hills to take on the Lady Thunder. Lady Flyers at Lady Thunder. So there's your region volleyball schedule for tomorrow.
I like it. Let's look at just a quick update as far as soccer goes. That we have some region soccer coming up, but looking at the current standings as it sets in our region here in Region 9. So Desert Hills is on top. They have an overall record of 7-2, but they have a 4-0 record in region play. Crimson Cliffs right now sitting at a 3-0 record in region play with 5-2 overall. Dixie is next. They're 2-1. Same with Cedar at 2-1 in region play. Snow Canyon 1-3, and then Hurricane and Pineview still to get any wins in girls soccer. So there are your standings right now for girls soccer. Coming up tomorrow, there will be some games. You have Cedar, Snow Canyon, Crimson Cliffs, Dixie, and then Hurricane, Desert Hills. That's all on Tuesday.
Yeah, love it.
So lots of good games going on right now for Region 9. And again, we're in the middle of the fall sports season now. We're smack dab in the middle of it as these teams are getting into the region play, or some teams have already been in region play, depending on what sport we're talking about. And even like the same for like cross country, for example. A lot of these teams are going to be starting to do more of the region-based races this upcoming week. So look forward to some of those as well.
Yeah. So what'd you do on Saturday?
I did not go to Corn Fest.
You did? Oh, I wanted an update.
I know. So I did talk to someone here that we work with that went to Corn Fest.
Okay.
And I have some family that went. I never ended up going because I was just going to go by myself. And I'm like, that's lame. I don't want to go by myself. So I didn't end up going. But I heard it was a good turnout. I from everyone I talked to, they said that it was fun. I'll give you that. I don't know. I didn't go, but it ended up being fun. I will say this, though. My parents went. They bought a lot of corn.
Yeah.
We then ate that corn on Saturday, and it was delicious.
Oh, I'll bet.
It was delicious. I like to make it in like a, I don't know, how would you explain that? But kind of more of a traditional like Mexican style way of doing it, right?
Okay.
Where you do lots of seasoned salts and stuff and just do it on an open grill. My mom is the old school, just boil the corn.
Corn on the cob.
Just straight up corn on the cob. But yeah, no, we did corn on the cob where we seasoned it with almost like it's from a brand called Meat Church is what it's called.
Okay.
Is the seasoning. And it's like a fajita blend.
Okay.
That's what it is. So
love
fajita blend, seasoning on the corn, butter, Parmesan cheese as well. Not like melted, but like the crumbly kind in the can. So good.
I'll tell you what.
Great way to eat it.
Saturday was a long, well, not a long day. It was a great day for, Macy and I. We went up here to the Thunderdome, and I announced 3 varsity games. I announced Desert Hills, and who did they play first? I think it was Ridgeline. And then Ridgeline and Lehigh played each other. And then we played Lehigh to finish off the day. So we got done. We were walking out of the high school gym at 7 o'clock. And I'm like, how did it get to be 7 o'clock so quickly? Because it was just a busy day. Lots of volleyball and lots of kills. Lots of Thor's hammer as a few of our girls were just really killing the ball. So it'll be, I'm very excited for region play to start. Volleyball, it's no secret to me, no secret to anybody out there that's listened to our show that I am a huge fan of volleyball, and I can't wait for region play to start.
Me neither. I love region play in anything. By the way, I pulled up some cross country information, so I wanted to throw some of this out from the, this is from the SUU Invitational from last week. So this was on Saturday that this was held. So you had Talmadge Wright from Pineview was the top finisher for the boys. And as far as team scores go, Pineview also took first in team scores.
Okay.
Cedar second. Canyon View was third. Crimson fourth. Hurricane fifth. Snow Canyon sixth. As far as girls go, the top finisher was from Kanab. Kennedy Glazier took the number 1 spot for Kanab. Number 2 spot was from Snow Canyon, Maggie Crosby. And number 3 was Brooke Albrecht from Panguitch. So kind of a spread from 1A, 2A, and a 4A. All through there is your top 3 for the girls. As far as team scores go, though, it was Cedar that came out on top. They got the first place spot with a score of 35. And then it was Pineview, Canyon View, Snow Canyon, Hurricane, Dixie, and then Crimson to wrap it up. So a pretty good showing. Pineview boys, Cedar girls getting the win for the team scores. Pretty awesome.
Now, did you turn 30 this weekend? Or not this weekend, but this past year?
I will be turning 30 in December.
Now, if you're 30, you're old. You're older than 42% of Americans. 15% of Americans are also in their 30s. Now, do we have enough time for this last stat?
I have 10 seconds. Go.
If you're 30, you've already lost 10% of your muscle mass. You're likely to be in debt to the tune of $20,000. But the good news is you're also likely to be having two and a quarter times a week.
All right. Well, we got to go to a break. We'll be back after this. Hey, it's Caden Formaster.
And Mark Musgrave, the voice you know with the Fan Sports Network.
Check out our local sports radio show From the Bleachers live every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m.
Listen to us on the radio on 99.5 or 95.3 FM.
You can also listen through the Fan Sports Network app or watch the show live on the Fan Sports Network YouTube page.
The Fan Sports Network is your home of Utah Tech Trailblazers, high school sports, and the pros.
The Fan Sports Network, Southern Utah's home for local sports.
Did you know that St. George News has a new app? Download the St. George News app today and stay up to date on everything happening in Southern Utah. Get instant notifications on news, weather, sports, and more. Download the app today and get your local news now.
Media is everywhere. It's a part of our daily life, our routine, not just for entertainment, but to stay informed. Local media has the biggest impact on your daily life. It's what's around you, what matters. And at Canyon Media, our goal is to deliver the very best in local entertainment, news, and media. From our award-winning radio stations like 99.9 Coney Country to Southern Utah's #1 source for local news, St. George News, we believe in delivering free, fast, and accurate local news, entertainment, and information to all of Southern Utah through our entertaining on-air personalities and music, compelling local shows, and community events like the City of St. George 4th of July celebration and charitable events like Coney Coins for Kids. From our entire team of dedicated designers, videographers, salespeople, digital marketers, writers, and on-air talent, thank you for letting us be a part of your daily life. Canyon Media, here for you.
Hey, it's Sheldon Demke. Check out the latest episode of What's on the Menu, a behind-the-scenes tour of local restaurants. We'll see some of their favorite dishes and get an inside look on how these dishes are prepared. Check out this week's episode at stgeorgenews.com and click the shows on the menu tab. Check out this week's edition of TGIF on stgeorgenews.com. TGIF is your weekend adventure guide to all the fun and exciting things going on in Southern Utah this weekend. Find this week's edition at stgeorgenews.com and click the shows on the menu tab. Have a blast this weekend.
As a local business owner, it's important to get the word out about your business. More people equals more revenue for you. Get your business in front of over 160,000 people in Southern Utah each week with St. George News. Contact St. George News today.
Back at it here in the Findlay Hyundai studio. It's Caden Formaster and Mark Musgrave.
The voice you know.
5 o'clock here on this Monday after a solid weekend. We're really getting into the thick of it, though, I'd say next weekend, but 2 weekends from now, we'll have college. We've been going now for a little bit. We had a little college last week, but not enough. NFL, week 1.
NFL week 1 for sure. But we want to acknowledge a death that happened over the weekend. He was a huge part of my growing up existence. Like when you were sick from school, this guy was always in your house.
Yep.
Always, every day. Bob Barker.
Bob Barker
Passed away on, I think it was Saturday, of natural causes. So,
I mean, he was 99.
99, and I know there's been some social media stuff floating around that he came as close as he could to 100 without going over.
Got as close as he could to that dollar.
Without going
over. I love that.
Man, I mean, dude was seriously like a fixture in, I would say 90+% of homes.
Yeah.
Through the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. He finally retired in 2007 from The Price is Right, and Drew Carey took over his spot. He started The Price is Right back in 1972. He was actually doing 2 game shows at the same time. He was doing Truth or Consequences. That went from 1956 until 1975. In 1972, he also did the revival of The Price is Right. Did it until 2007. Please get your dogs and cats spayed and neutered. That was always his message.
Was his line.
But we have another message, though, from one of the most famous movies that he ever did, I think. You got that clip ready?
I do have it ready.
Oh, happy.
Golfer, I think you should be working at the snack bar. You better relax, Bob. There is no way that you could have been as bad at hockey as you are at golf.
All right, let's go.
Oh! You like that, old man? You want a piece of me? I don't want a piece of you. I want the whole thing. Oh!
Oh, man. I love it.
Rest in peace, Bob Barker. Because like I said, he was incredible. He won 15 Emmys. He received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Daytime Emmys and was inducted into the Academy Television Arts and Sciences Hall of Fame. And don't forget, probably the most prestigious award that he won was that both him and Adam Sandler, they won the 1996 MTV Movie Award for Best Fight.
I thought you were going to say they won the Pro-Am that.
Yeah, right. Anyways, dude, yeah. And after every Price is Right, he would always say, have your pets spayed and neutered.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Bob Barker, rest in peace, man. Because, like I said, he was in so many households growing up. I mean, when you were homesick, that's what you watched was The Price is Right.
Yeah. I will
it's
say,
amazing.
I will say, if I ever went to my grandma's house, I guarantee she was watching. She just had it on the game show channel, right? She was watching. She would go with Price is Right, and then Wheel of Fortune, and then Jeopardy. She just had kind of the list. She would just sit there and watch her game shows.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And so I watched a lot of the Price is Right whenever I was at my grandma's house.
Yeah.
It was always Price is Right.
Yeah.
All the time. So
anyway, good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff indeed.
Well, rest in peace, Bob Barker. He was good stuff. Not that he passed away, but
we knew what you
understand.
meant.
Yeah.
We knew what you meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yep. Anyway, there's still so much to cover today. I feel like we got an hour left in the show. Let's get on into it. So starting off, this is something I've been wanting to talk about today, Mark, is the Trey Lance trade.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting storylines to go along with this because the trade is one thing, right? Obviously, the trade is one thing where he gets traded to the Cowboys, and the trade was for a 4th round pick. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here's why it's interesting. if you remember right, the 49ers, when they went to go get Trey Lance at the 3rd pick, gave up 3 first-rounders to go get him, right? So, really, they traded 3 first-round picks for a 4th-round pick in the long run, right?
Right.
That's what it all ends up equating to. Did you get anything out of him? Out of Trey Lance? Not really.
They didn't get anything out of it.
I would dare say you got next to nothing out of it.
Next to nothing is
Next
for
to nothing.
sure.
So it's so tough to look at that. And then what's interesting, too, is you look at that draft specifically, and there's so many options besides Trey Lance that they could have went with. Not necessarily quarterbacks. And yeah, I mean, sure, but just all around the board, what else could they have done to bolster up that team using, even if they kept their original pick, right? Say Trey Lance would have been off the board. Had they just kept the original pick, where would they be? They would be in some pretty good hands, I think.
Well,
good spot.
And one take that I heard was that's just how, the 49ers could afford to make a mistake. So it was high. It was a risk-reward situation. The great thing about the San Francisco 49ers and where they're at as an organization is that they're good enough that they can afford to take that risk.
Yeah.
The reward would have been fantastic, but the risk, it's not going to hurt them much. They're still going to be one of the best teams in the NFC. So they're going to just move on and lick their wounds and go. If that was to happen to a team, well, let's just take the Raiders, for example. If that was to happen to the Raiders, it would set them back another 5 years.
It could.
Or,
yeah.
or a team like the Jaguars or whoever that, whoever teams they're trying to, scratch and claw their way and get through this rebuilding process. Those teams, that sets you back so far. But a team like the Niners, a team like the Chiefs, the Bengals, those teams can afford to make those risk-reward options, and it just kind of makes a little dent in them, and they move on.
Yeah, when you're already a good team, it does help. Just looking at some of the players that went after him in this draft, you have immediately after was Kyle Pitts, tight end. They didn't really need a tight end. They already had why can't I think of his name?
Kittles.
George Kittle. Yeah.
Jamar, I say Kittles like it's
Kittles like it's Skittles.
Kittles and bits or something. I don't know, but it's Kittle. Yes, thank you.
Let's call him George Skittles.
Yeah, or Skittles. Yeah, there you go.
Jamar Chase was another one of those options. Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle.
Oh, boy.
2 great receivers that I'll even throw in Devontae Smith as well.
Sure.
3 really good receivers. Here's the one that could hurt as well. We already know how good their defense is. Imagine adding Micah Parsons to that defense.
Oh, my gosh.
Micah Parsons, another one of those that they could have taken. And that's all. Penei Sewell was in that draft. They could have bolstered that offensive line a little bit.
Oh, man.
You had Najee Harris as a running back. That would be kind of helpful. And I know they were drafting because the need was a quarterback. They really didn't want to stick with Jimmy Garoppolo. That was kind of the plan, right? Was to have somebody that could come in and they didn't want a Jimmy Garoppolo type quarterback. They wanted a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
And they didn't. That's what they want, right? As a franchise quarterback, they thought Trey Lance could be that guy. He just wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
So will he ever be that guy? Probably not. Especially not right now, where he's easily a number 2, if not even a number 3 on the depth chart for the Cowboys.
Well, who backs up Dak right now?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. If it's either Cooper Rush or is it going to be Trey?
It'll be interesting to see how Jerry Jones navigates himself through all of this. Some of the reports were, did Dak get his feelers hurt or anything like that? Also, too, did Jerry Jones tell Dak before the trade? And you know what Jerry Jones says? No. You know why? Because he doesn't have to. This is his quote. No, we didn't tell anybody until we did it, period.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? If I'm Dak, I don't have too much to worry about, though. Trey Lance has not proven anything, and Dak has. As much as I don't think Dak is an end-all, be-all great quarterback, he's still good enough to lead the franchise for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
Trey Lance has proven nothing. He hasn't. He just has not proved anything. Cooper Rush has at least proved some stuff, right? With Dak Prescott going down last year, Cooper Rush came in and played really well.
Yeah, he did. He did.
So I think when you're looking at that, and I pulled up the depth chart, and sure enough, Trey Lance is the third quarterback on that depth chart. That's where he kind of deserves to be. Even in San Francisco, he was the third on the depth chart.
But normally a team, when you have a starting quarterback like a Dak Prescott that's been there, he's kind of cemented himself in there for the past 5 or 6 years. I don't know exactly. Normally, they'll treat quarterbacks not as they're part of the of management, but they usually just courtesy-wise will tell people, hey, let's just take Minnesota Vikings, Kirk Cousins. They let Kirk know that they were selecting Kellen Mond in the third round of the 2021 draft.
Yeah.
Now, and Kirk Cousins, I don't know if he had to give his blessing, but at least it was just a courtesy on both sides.
Well, and Jaren Hall in this last one, and yeah.
And then just the other side of it, though, when the Packers selected
Aaron Rodgers.
Jordan Love,
Yep.
they did not let Aaron Rodgers know, and that was kind of the start of the wedge between the organization and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And now Aaron Rodgers is playing for the Jets.
Yeah.
So
but it's different when you're drafting a quarterback and when you're trading for one to be a backup. Because when you're drafting a quarterback, there's a lot of hope there. There's a lot of hope that, hey, we're drafting a quarterback, maybe he'll turn into something, right? To me, when you're trading for a quarterback, you kind of already know who they are because they've been in the league for a while. If you're bringing Trey Lance into the Cowboy organization, to me, Dak Prescott's being like, okay, he hasn't done anything in San Francisco, so I'm not all that worried.
I disagree. I disagree with that. Now, I know what you're saying there, but I disagree with Trey Lance.
Okay.
Because it's almost like they did draft him because Trey Lance has not proven himself.
Anything, yeah.
He hasn't done anything in San Francisco. I think he got, two starts, and he got injured in the second game?
Well, yeah, because last year was really his first year because he got drafted in the 2021 draft. Sat the whole 2021 season because he's a rookie. They just didn't play him.
He might have got some spot play, but I can't remember how much.
Yeah, he got some time, not a lot. Started the second season because they were like, this is our guy. We want him over Jimmy G. Jimmy G's going to be coming off the bench. Okay, well, guess what? He didn't do anything in those first few games.
Got hurt in the second game.
Got hurt. So small sample size. So
it's almost like they did draft him in the fourth round.
I do see where you're coming from. And maybe this is one of those weird scenarios where it's kind of a middle ground. It's like, is it like they drafted him? Is it like they traded for him? Maybe it's kind of somewhere in the middle, where you haven't seen enough of him in an NFL uniform to rightfully say that he's a third string quarterback. Does he have potential to be bigger than that, to be more than that? Yeah. And that's why I think that could be very iffy for Dak. I can see that side of it.
Being the fact that Jara did not tell him anything about this. He doesn't really have that mutual respect that some organizations have with their quarterback. I'm just wondering if Jerry Jones has a little bit more in mind for Trey Lance than what some people would possibly think on, they just traded for they took a third string quarterback because right now he was third string quarterback up in San Francisco, and they're just going to add him. Here's the deal. We don't know the ceiling that Trey Lance has. I don't think really anybody has. Now, here's the deal. Does San Francisco know? Because apparently in the offseason of 2021 and 2022, he had earned that starting job.
But then the offseason of 2022 to 2023, he was third behind
Brock Purdy and
Sam Darnold, which somehow he was number one over Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy. And now he's number 3 to Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold. So to me, it's just such a big shift from year to year. And maybe it's partially the injury. Maybe they just haven't seen a lot from him.
I think that's what it is. I think it's sample size. We have such a small sample size of Trey Lance.
To be fair, San Francisco has a bigger sample size of Brock Purdy than they have of Trey Lance.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he's number 1. It's plain and simple.
Oh, yeah.
Brock Purdy has lost one game, and it was in the NFC Championship game. That's a good sample size if you can lead your team through an entire playoff series and get to the conference championship. That's solid. Well, seven games or something for Brock Purdy?
I still say it's a small sample size.
It's still small,
but a successful sample size. It's very successful.
It's bigger than what Trey Lance did. It's at least successful.
Yeah.
And that's why him leaving, and it's understandable why they're they put him here. And I think we talked about this in a fan, not a fan segment at one point, which was, do we think Trey Lance is going to be on the 49ers?
Yeah.
And I think you had said no, because there's not a lot of trades that happen during the season.
Yeah.
You were still technically right. The season has not started. It is preseason, but still being a fan of, he's not going to play for the 49ers.
Yeah.
You know, he did not play for the 49ers. Will he play for the Cowboys? That's a different question. I don't know. I mean, with Dak's history of injury, it's very possible we see Trey Lance. Very possible.
Right.
I think we could. But Cooper Rush played so well last year. Are we going to see Cooper Rush first? I think we see Cooper Rush first.
And that's the thing, too. Cooper Rush is 5-1 in his 6 starts.
Yeah.
So, again, successful. And I say bring in Cooper Rush.
So do I.
Over Dak.
No, wait. I'm an Eagles fan. Bring in Trey Lance.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
I will say this about what the Cowboys have done for Will Grier. Their fourth string. He was third, but bringing in Trey Lance makes him the fourth. They brought him in, told him, we're going to cut you, but you have one more preseason game left. We want you to play that game because we want you to be able to show what you can do, and maybe some other team will pick you up once we let you go.
That's kind of cool.
I thought that was really classy.
That's good.
I thought that was really good. And so he goes out there, and he played really well against the Raiders in their final preseason game. Cowboys got the win. And that was maybe the only time where in my life where I've looked at the Cowboys and I've been like, that's pretty cool, Cowboys. Good for you.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought that was cool. But he is still technically on the depth chart just because they haven't officially released him. I think they will soon. Obviously, over the next 2 weeks, that's when the front offices and coaches are going to get together and whittle their teams down to their 53-man rosters, and he's not going to make that 53-man roster. Obviously, there's only so many spots, and they don't need 4 quarterbacks. So he will be one of those that's gone. Will another team pick him up? That is a big question. He might pick up a practice squad spot first, and then I wouldn't be surprised if, as injuries happen throughout a season, as they do, he might find a spot somewhere in the league.
Yeah.
So, yeah, with how well he played in that last preseason game, pretty good. Again, a good sample size, at least for a third-string quarterback, because right now that's what he's fighting for, is just to at least get a paycheck, stay in the league, and get a paycheck.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. The NFL's interesting right now.
Yeah, and we have some more NFL stuff coming up for sure. In fact, I've got some things that we've learned in the preseason.
All right.
And we can talk about that when we come back.
Let's do it. Hey, it's Caden Formaster.
And Mark Musgrave, the voice you know with the Fan Sports Network.
Check out our local sports radio show, From the Bleachers, live every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m.
Listen to us on the radio on 99.5 or 95.3 FM.
You can also listen through the Fan Sports Network app or watch the show live on the Fan Sports Network YouTube page.
The Fan Sports Network is your home of Utah Tech Trailblazers, high school sports, and the pros.
The Fan Sports Network, Southern Utah's home for local sports.
Did you know that St. George News has a new app? Download the St. George News app today and stay up to date on everything happening in Southern Utah. Get instant notifications on news, weather, sports, and more. Download the app today and get your local news now.
Media is everywhere. It's a part of our daily life, our routine, not just for entertainment, but to stay informed. Local media has the biggest impact on your daily life. It's what's around you, what matters. And at Canyon Media, our goal is to deliver the very best in local entertainment, news, and media. From our award-winning radio stations like 99.9 Coney Country to Southern Utah's #1 source for local news, St. George News, we believe in delivering free, fast, and accurate local news, entertainment, and information to all of Southern Utah through our entertaining on-air personalities and music, compelling local shows, and community events like the City of St. George 4th of July celebration and charitable events like Coney Coins for Kids. From our entire team of dedicated designers, videographers, salespeople, digital marketers, writers, and on-air talent, thank you for letting us be a part of your daily life. Canyon Media, here for you.
Hey, it's Sheldon Demke. Check out the latest episode of What's on the Menu, a behind-the-scenes tour of local restaurants. We'll see some of their favorite dishes and get an inside look on how these dishes are prepared. Check out this week's episode at stgeorgenews.com and click the shows on the menu tab. Check out this week's edition of TGIF on stgeorgenews.com. TGIF is your weekend adventure guide to all the fun and exciting things going on in Southern Utah this weekend. Find this week's edition at stgeorgenews.com and click the shows on the menu tab. Have a blast this weekend.
As a local business owner, it's important to get the word out about your business. More people equals more revenue for you. Get your business in front of over 160,000 people in Southern Utah each week with St. George News. Contact St. George News today.
Welcome back in, everybody. It is From the Bleachers here on the Fan Sports Network. Caden Formaster and Mark Musgrave.
The voice you know.
Welcome back into the Findlay Hyundai studio here. And, Mark, I had the weirdest thing happen today.
Family show? We can still talk about it? Okay.
No, it's just technology.
Okay.
I, halfway through the day, it was 1 o'clock. I was like, man, I've had a quiet day. Normally I get a decent amount of phone calls and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing coming through. I'm just like, that's kind of weird. Well, I looked at my phone and
that's kind of nice with some of the sales reps that you have on the radio side.
It's kind of nice. It was nice for a while. Well, and then all of a sudden, I was out and about grabbing some lunch.
Yeah.
And I had looked at my phone, and I was like, this is still kind of weird, and no service. And I'm like the bars were there, but there's nothing. You know how the bars are grayed out when there's no service on them? And I was like, that seems kind of weird. Whatever. And so a little while later in the day, I'm like, I still had those bars, no service. All right, something's weird. Because nobody was talking about, hey, I'm not having service.
Sure.
Is this just a me issue? I restarted my phone. Boom, I have service again. All of these voicemails, missed calls start rolling in. And I was like, oh,
hey.
So that's what's been going on today. My phone's just decided it didn't want to have service for a while.
The Apple fix. The Apple fix.
Just restart it. I didn't know it was broken, though.
No, I understand.
I just thought I was having a quiet day.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Just gotta restart it.
Just a restart. And it's just like, hey, call me. And I'm like, all these different voicemails. Hey, call me. And I was like, that's the problem. That makes sense. That's why I'm having such a quiet Monday.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad problem to have. But
hey, yesterday, fantasy football draft for me. So I'm in the Devin Dixon League, the Double D. Don't be nasty. And
okay, Manuelo.
And if you don't follow him on Instagram or whatever,
you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, he's
my favorite.
That's where I got that from.
He's a golf guy, by the way.
Yeah, he is a golf guy. Hey, so here's my team, and I feel pretty good about this, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm not going to just say, oh, I feel good about it, and not tell you why. I feel pretty good about it, and here's why. So I had the 5th overall pick, okay? Macy asked me before I left. She goes, if you get the number 1 pick, who are you going to take? I said, it's hard to pass up Christian McCaffrey. It just is.
Christian McCaffrey or Jefferson, right? Those are going to be your two.
So I'm like, I think Christian McCaffrey, just because running backs and they run the ball, they receive the ball, especially him. So I got the 5th overall pick. Christian McCaffrey fell into my lap. So I take him.
Hey, there you go.
So here's the deal. I got, can I just say a top 2 or 3 running back, right?
Absolutely.
Probably a top 2 running back.
100%.
Okay. Now, with the 5th overall pick, I had to wait another 7 picks. It's a snake draft.
Yeah.
So, and we have 12 teams in our 12 guys in our league. I come back and I get Devontae Adams.
All right, that's a solid receiver pickup.
Would you say a top 5 wide receiver?
I would say top 5 to top 10 for sure.
Stop it. He's a top 5 wide receiver.
I would like to say top 5, but there are some other names that could end up breaking out again this year. So we'll see.
So then it comes back around to me again, and I get T. Higgins.
Okay.
Okay. Solid choice. Probably a top 15 wide receiver in that offense. I mean,
he's a good number 2.
Great number 2.
Good number 2.
I'm not going to go pick by pick, but then in the draft too, I got T.J. Hawkinson.
I had him last year.
Would you say a top 3 or 2 tight end?
100%.
Okay.
I would say it's T.J. Hawkinson. Obviously, Travis Kelce is going to be your number 1. Mark Andrews is going to be up there.
Is up there as well. That's it.
Like, that's your...
Maybe Darren Waller. Maybe.
Yeah, but that's a big maybe.
I know.
It's a big maybe.
So I say I got a top 3 tight end. So I've got a top 2 running back. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got a top 5 wide receiver in Devontae Adams. I've got a top 2 tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, my quarterbacks, interesting thing here. I got 2 solid quarterbacks, but they're not going to score touchdowns with their legs.
So they're like your lower level, just like passing quarterbacks, not a running quarterback.
Just like solid quarterbacks. Who would come to your mind if I asked you that question?
Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, I didn't get him.
Okay, Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins is one of them, yes. Now, one thing that I love about this is he's throwing to the number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah. You'll be all right with that one.
I'll be okay.
You'll be all right with that one.
Okay, who else do you think?
Derek Carr.
Derek Carr's my other one.
Okay, there you go.
There you go. 2 very solid quarterbacks. They're not going to get points with their legs.
They're no Lamar Jackson.
But they're going to get some points with throwing and their offenses.
Yeah,
I mean, Derek Carr's throwing to Olave, and
he's got Alvin Kamara to help him out.
Kamara as
which
well.
I know obviously he'll carry a lot, but
Michael Thomas as well is healthy and back. I actually picked him up later on the draft as well. So
there you go.
And then I ended up picking up Isaiah Pacheco, Chiefs running back.
Chiefs running back. He'll get a lot of carries.
Cam Akers, Rams running back.
Sure.
Now I'm in the point of the draft where a couple of wild cards. Like I can,
like you're just taking.
So
a shot.
This
is when you start drafting rookies.
So and that's exactly what I did. So we're a 2 quarterback league, so we can start 2 quarterbacks.
Right.
So I wanted to get a 3rd quarterback, and there were some teams that.
So you're thinking like a Bryce. Yeah.
Dude, did you see my list?
No, I'm not looking at your list at all.
I know. So I got Bryce Young. He might turn out to be a stud.
Yeah, he could be.
He had a really good preseason.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So got Bryce Young, and then I ended up with Alan Lazard and then Hunter Renfrow.
Well, and Alan Lazard is going to be the number 2 receiver in New York for the Jets.
Right.
So that's
and Aaron Rodgers trusts him too.
Yeah.
Like he brought him in.
Yeah, and Renfro's 2 or 3.
Yeah, for sure.
Know, depending on how they use him. If they use him like Derek Carr used him 2 years ago. Last year was okay, but 2 years ago they used him very well.
And then as for a backup tight end, guess who I picked up?
Give me a ranking on where you'd put him among tight ends.
He's a rookie.
Dawson Knox.
No, he's a rookie. For Green Bay.
Oh, rookie for Green Bay. Oh, Musgraves.
Luke Musgrave, baby. Yeah, Luke Musgrave. I had to pick him. How do I not?
I mean, it could have been Dalton Kincaid, but
no, he went way earlier.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Then I picked up the Bengals defense, Harrison Butker, that kind of thing. So, and I picked up Taysom Hill as well.
What was he at?
They have him listed as a tight end.
I figured tight end is a little more likely
this
season.
I think
he'll get some quarterback spots.
I think with Yahoo Sports, that's who we do it through.
Yeah.
I think Yahoo will have him. I know they did last year, kind of as a utility that you could put him as a quarterback.
Yeah, he'll be a little bit of both.
Or a tight end. So it'll be interesting to see the flexibility that I get with Taysom Hill.
Now, I love having Taysom Hill because he's either going to get you a lot or like nothing at all.
Yeah.
He's going to be one or the other.
I'll tell you what, I feel right now, I feel pretty good about this team.
I like that team.
I really do.
I would like to see some other guys' teams, but I like that team. That's pretty solid. You're sitting at about you have a good top 5 in almost every position.
Exactly.
Which is pretty awesome.
That's what I was kind of going for.
Outside of quarterback, you don't have top 5 in quarterback.
No,
sorry,
I don't.
But I know that you'll also.
But they're solid.
But they're okay. They're going to get you good points.
Probably 12 and 16.
I mean,
they're right there in the middle.
There are certain guys you will have to take gambles on. Like, for example, a Dak Prescott's a gamble, right? Like,
yeah. For sure.
It's just he is.
These two, there's no gamble.
There's not really a gamble.
There's no gamble.
Jimmy Garoppolo would be a gamble, for example.
Again,
Brock Purdy's even a gamble.
Kirk Cousins is throwing to the number 1 wide receiver in the league. So he's going to get you some points.
Yeah, he'll be
no
good.
question about it. And Carr has a nice. He'll
throw for 4,000 in a year, and people will say he had a bad year.
Yeah. So,
you know, that's just how it is with him.
Yes, I would have loved to have gotten Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes was
he's the first rounder.
He was the first pick of the draft. But I feel really good about. I feel pretty good about this.
Yeah, I like that. That's a
so,
good one.
anyways, we will keep you up to date on that.
I like that. I like that a lot. By the way, Kirk Cousins last year was it him? No, I was thinking of Tannehill. Very similar kind of quarterbacks. Tannehill's my number 2 quarterback last year. And he didn't do too much for me.
Right.
But I had Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was my number 1 guy. He gave me a lot. So
yeah, Joe Burrow.
I bet he went early.
Yeah, he was one of the early ones as well. But
yeah.
Anyways, good stuff out there. Fantasy football. We met up at Wingnuts.
I love me some Wingnuts.
Friend of the station here.
Oh,
for
yeah,
sure.
we love Wingnuts, man.
With Wingnuts, they treated us really good, and the staff up there was super awesome with getting us drinks and food and everything.
I don't know what it is about Wingnuts, but I feel like, you know how Olive Garden says when you're here, your family? That should be Wingnuts.
Oh, for sure. No question.
Because those guys, like, you walk in and I swear they know your name, and I'm like, I don't even know who you are, and you immediately are treating me like you're my best friend. So, you know what? I love it. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's get into the 10 things that we learned in the 2023 NFL preseason, shall we?
And you know my thoughts on preseason, but like I always said before, you can still learn a few things, yes.
Get me to the real stuff that actually matters. You can still learn some stuff.
Yes.
Which, as a Raiders fan, there are some things that you learn as a Raider fan.
No question about it.
You should be hyped.
Positive.
Let's just say that. Very
Definitely positive, for sure.
Starting off, number 1, and this is something that's really not a surprise. I wouldn't say that we learned it. We just confirmed it. The NFC East is just awesome. Oh, it's going to be so fun.
CBS Sports describes it as the NFC East is going to be juicy.
And that might be a little bit better descriptive word, a good adjective there. Juicy.
I mean, it really is, too. So, you know, obviously you got the Eagles, which are probably favored to win that.
They're favored right now in that not only that division, but maybe in the entire NFC.
I think Daniel Jones is going to be better for the Giants. Yeah. They've got Saquon coming back. They got Darren Waller now as well. I really do hope that Waller stays healthy and has a big year for the Giants. I like everything that Darren Waller has done, not just in football, but in his life in general as well. Just a dude that makes really good decisions after questionable ones. He has really turned his life around. Yeah. So I am really rooting for Darren Waller to stay healthy and have a big game. You know, the Commanders are the team for me that I really...
There's a giant question mark, right?
Big question mark. I don't expect much from him. I know other people have. I don't expect much at all from the Commanders.
See, and I'm the opposite, where I feel like, I'm not going to say they're going to be great. I don't even think they're a playoff team. I think that they could be sitting close to that 500 mark, which in the NFL, it's an odd number of weeks for teams. So you're not going to be sitting right at 500 unless you get a tie, I guess. But I do think that they're going to be right around that mark, an 8-win team, if Eric Bieniemy can really just set things in motion for the team. I think that's really what it's going to come down to. He's got to be able to establish this team as a winning offense, right? That's what needs to happen. Sam Howell, is he the guy?
Well, here's the deal.
That's a big question mark for me.
With the starting quarterbacks of the East, you have Jalen Hurts, you got Trey Lance, and you've got Lance Daniel Jones.
I'm just kidding. Dak, but
I'm just kidding.
I know
I'm
what
just
you mean.
Kidding. Sam, he's fourth on this list.
Easy. He's an easy
fourth. I just don't expect much from the Commanders this year. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? I do consider myself an expert, but
we talk about sports every day. We
might as well
be experts.
I just think that, but it's going to be very competitive. I love what the Giants are doing. Cowboys are going to be good, especially with that defense, and the Eagles going to be good again.
Team that's not going to be so good, potentially, at least preseason wasn't so good, the Dolphins.
I think they're going to be fine. I know they've got health issues across the board.
That's the biggest question.
No question about it. In fact, I had an opportunity to draft Tua and I just couldn't pull the trigger.
I couldn't do it either.
I wanted to so bad because I love Tua Tagovailoa. I love him as a quarterback, but I just couldn't put my trust into him with the health factor. So I bypassed it and ended up with Kirk Cousins and Derek Carr, but I just couldn't get him. So we'll see what kind of happens there. You know, Jalen Waddle, he's not going to have the same chemistry with Mike White that he does with Tua. Again, one of these players, talking about Tua, one of these players that I am really, really rooting for because Tua is a good dude.
I like Tua. He's
a good dude and a good quarterback. But, man, just those concussions and things that he's had. One hard hit, and that's what I told Grady, the son of the guy that I was sitting next to, Jim's son, Grady, was at the draft. And he's, gosh, how old is Grady? I'm thinking he's 14, 13.
Younger guy.
Yeah, gosh darn it. I think of him as my own, so I should know his age. But I told Grady, I said, I just can't pick Tua because he gets hit one hard time, and that head hits the turf.
Could be the end.
It could be the end. And I just can't. I couldn't do it. But I love Tua. Totally rooting for him.
Me too. I want Tua to succeed. I want him to have a successful, healthy year.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Let's go to the Chiefs. I mean, we won't spend much time here. They're going to be good again.
Yeah, they'll be just fine. Remember last year at this time when everybody was panicking because Tyreek Hill wasn't on the team anymore? Ah! I know. They just have to laugh about that now. But, yes, the Chiefs are going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Without Tyreek Hill. They've got Travis Kelce. They've got Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm not too worried about it. They got some up-and-comers, Sky Moore, Rashee Rice, and Amir Smith-Marset. Kind of tough names to say.
Yeah, some difficult names there. Let's talk Bryce Young for a sec. As well as Bryce Young looks in preseason, the team around him still doesn't look all that great.
Yeah, very similar to Justin Fields with the Bears last year. There's just no weapons now.
He's got Adam Thielen. That's about it.
He does.
And
you know what?
Old.
He is, but Adam Thielen, I kind of wanted him yesterday on my fantasy team kind of later in the draft.
He might be the number one.
But he kind of got taken maybe a right before I was looking for him.
Yeah.
But no, and Adam Thielen, he's not going to be obviously going to take the top off the defense, but he still runs really good routes. He will move the chains for Bryce Young. I watched a little bit of Bryce Young's game yesterday, or from this past weekend, and you know what? He looks good. He looks good with his touch throws.
He's composed.
He does, and he looks good with his legs. I saw him run. The pocket collapsed on him. He stepped up into the pocket. He saw that he could gain about 10 to 15 yards. He went 13 yards and he slid down. He's very smart as well. He didn't take a unnecessary hit, and I think he'll do that even in the regular season. Just as he did in the preseason. So I like Bryce Young a lot. And again, like I mentioned in our going over my fantasy football team, I did take him.
Yeah. And I will say, of the quarterbacks that played for the Panthers, there are 4 of them that they rotated through all of them. He played the best.
Yeah.
Out of all of them, quite easily played the best. He's the only one that threw a touchdown.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton, who we all know really well, did not play well.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I do think that Bryce Young he's set for a successful career if he can be on good teams.
He's just got to get some
part of the struggle.
And here's the deal now, though. Just like the Bears were in the situation last year, they've got the quarterback position taken care of now. Now you can focus on bringing in players around him that's going to fit his skill set. And I would hope that that's what they're going to focus on in the offseason and in the draft.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just got to get through this year. That's really what it is. Just get through this year. You're going to lose some games. You're going to lose maybe a lot of games. And we'll see. Let's go to number 5 on our list, and there are 10 things that we learned from the preseason. Steelers offense kind of struggled last year, but this could be the year that they just take a jump forward. Big old leap forward.
I think they will. Kenny Pickett, another year under his belt. and he's pairing up with George Pickens. So, and I know one of the fantasy teams yesterday took both Pickett and Pickens. They wanted that combo, thinking that they're going to have a pretty good year. And I'm with them. I think they're going to have a pretty good year as well. Najee Harris, obviously, still in the backfield.
And he was, in and out last season with health.
Mm-hmm.
I think when healthy, Najee Harris is potentially a top 5 running back as well. I think he has that ceiling at least, if not a top 10.
Yeah,
he can easily be a top 10. I think he could push into a top 5 if he's healthy. It helps when your line is doing what they need to do, when the receivers can unload some pressure from the run game, and vice versa. He needs to unload some pressure from the passing game. And it looks like they're becoming a little bit more of a well-rounded offense after the retirement of Roethlisberger and losing some of those key role players that they had in the receiver positions. They had some great receivers for a long time, and it's just kind of went downhill for the last couple of years.
And they got a nice tight end in Pat Freiermuth. He's in that tight end tier just below. He's in that second tier of tight ends.
He's up there. He's a solid choice.
So I think the Steelers are gonna do well. And the Steelers are one of those teams where the NFL does better when they're good. So I hope that Pittsburgh gets back on the map and wins more games than they lose this year.
Yes, I think so too. Let's get to number 6. Anthony Richardson is exactly what everyone thought he was. That's not good. That's not bad. It's just he's exactly what we thought he was.
He is an athletic freak.
Yeah.
And again, I thought I could get him as a rookie quarterback, maybe in the 4th or 5th round. He went much quicker.
He would be a really good fantasy quarterback.
He was high.
I would take him as my number 2 fantasy quarterback. Absolutely.
And I thought he'd be on the board a little bit longer than he was, but he did get selected because I think he is going to be one of those players. Again, his team isn't going to be very successful, but I think he will be successful on the fantasy side.
Yes.
On the fantasy side.
I agree. I do think that he's going to be a successful fantasy quarterback.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean he's a successful quarterback. He's a successful fantasy quarterback, right? And we'll see. I saw something today where looking at stats of successful quarterbacks, they have to have if they do this, that means this. Like, for example, if a quarterback takes a sack, on average, the team scores 1.3 less points per game, right? So if you're getting sacked 3 times, you're losing points. That's just kind of the way that the analytics of it all work out. One thing Anthony Richardson is really good at doing is not getting sacked.
Yeah.
If the pressure's coming, he's so good on his feet, he can at least roll out and maybe go gain a yard or 2 on his feet.
Right.
Right. He's not going to go down in the backfield. He'll get a pass out. He'll roll out and run it himself. He's good at just not going down and taking sacks. You want that from a quarterback. He's good at that.
Right.
I still think he's got to get that arm a little bit more dialed in. And for as
he'll
athletic as he is, he'll get there. He's still young. He'll get there.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Anthony Richardson, good fantasy quarterback this year. Maybe not necessarily a great quarterback overall, but I think he's got a major upside. I'm excited to see what the kid can
I think him and C.J. Stroud are very similar places that Justin Fields was last year.
Absolutely.
So,
and Justin Fields this year, everyone's like, oh, he's ready for that next step forward.
That's what they're saying.
So
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's take a break, and when we come back, Mark, we're going to get to your Raiders.
Okay, sounds good.
I know you're excited for those Raiders.
I know.
We'll get to that when we come back. Hey, it's Caden Formaster.
And Mark Musgrave, the voice you know with the Fan Sports Network.
Check out our local sports radio show, From the Bleachers, live every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m.
Listen to us on the radio on 99.5 or 95.3 FM.
You can also listen through the Fan Sports Network app or watch the show live on the Fan Sports Network YouTube page.
The Fan Sports Network is your home of Utah Tech Trailblazers, high school sports, and the pros.
The Fan Sports Network, Southern Utah's home for local sports.
Did you know that St. George News has a new app? Download the St. George News app today and stay up to date on everything happening in Southern Utah. Get instant notifications on news, weather, sports, and more. Download the app today and get your local news now.
Media is everywhere. It's a part of our daily life, our routine. Not just for entertainment, but to stay informed. Local media has the biggest impact on your daily life. It's what's around you, what matters. And at Canyon Media, our goal is to deliver the very best in local entertainment, news, and media. From our award-winning radio stations like 99.9 Coney Country to Southern Utah's #1 source for local news, St. George News, we believe in delivering free, fast, and accurate local news, entertainment, and information to all of Southern Utah through our entertaining on-air personalities and music, compelling local shows, and community events like the City of St. George 4th of July celebration and charitable events like Coney Corns for Kids. From our entire team of dedicated designers, videographers, salespeople, digital marketers, writers, and on-air talent, thank you for letting us be a part of your daily life. Canyon Media, here for you.
Hey, it's Sheldon Demke. Check out the latest episode of What's on the Menu, a behind-the-scenes tour of local restaurants. We'll see some of their favorite dishes and get an inside look on how these dishes are prepared. Check out this week's episode at stgeorgenews.com and click the shows on the menu tab. Check out this week's edition of TGIF on stgeorgenews.com. TGIF is your weekend adventure guide to all the fun and exciting things going on in Southern Utah this weekend. Find this week's edition at stgeorgenews.com and click the shows on the menu tab. Have a blast this weekend.
As a local business owner, it's important to get the word out about your business. More people equals more revenue for you. Get your business in front of over 160,000 people in Southern Utah each week with St. George News. Contact St. George News today.
We're talking Raider Nation as we are here in the Fan Sports Network. King Formaster Mark Musgrave.
The voice, you know.
I know you're ready for some Raider talk.
I'm ready for NFL talk, but yes, more specifically, silver and black, Las Vegas Raiders for sure. And, you know, I think the Raiders, I don't know how by accident, how big of an accident it was, because they did draft him in the fourth round.
But
Aiden
it's
O'Connell.
still a little bit of an accident.
Aiden O'Connell, fourth round pick for the Raiders. I think he is doing better than expectations.
100%.
I mean, no question about it. He completed 70% of his passes in the preseason, and I would say he got the bulk of the playing time over Brian Hoyer, and obviously Jimmy G saw the field once. But, you know, I got to tell you, I think most of Raider Nation, we want Jimmy G. There's no question about it. We want Jimmy G to stay healthy. He is a very good quarterback when he's healthy.
100%.
Okay?
Yeah.
If he does go down, though, I think most of Raider Nation is comfortable with what they saw in the preseason with Aiden O'Connell coming in. Again, he's a fourth-round draft pick out of Purdue. He doesn't have this new quarterback, you know, Justin Fields, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, kind of Anthony Richardson scrambling skill set. But he gets the ball out of his hands very quickly. And from what I saw in the preseason, again, and the 70% completion rate backs me up on this, he is very accurate.
Yeah. The one thing that he does really, really well is, and you could say this is a positive or negative thing, I guess, but he does stay in the pocket, but he doesn't let the pressure get to his head. You know, as that pocket starts to collapse in around him, he still makes the throw.
Yeah.
He doesn't panic. And if you want a pocket passer, that's exactly what you need. Someone who's just not going to panic, right? He will make the pass. He'll get rid of it. He doesn't go scramble too much, which is fair. You know what? When you scramble, you're changing angles of everything. When you're running, that changes the entire game. And I like that he's willing to just say, I'm going to stay in the pocket an extra second or two longer and wait for the play to develop. And it usually does.
And let me just say, and I'm not comparing Jimmy G or Aiden O'Connell to Tom Brady, but I'm comparing Jimmy G and Aiden O'Connell to Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Josh
play style.
Josh McDaniels' offense does not need a scrambling quarterback. That's not his offense. His offense is for the quarterback to get the ball, 1, 2, 3, get rid of it. They get rid of it very quickly. That's what set Tom Brady apart in every season that he played quarterback for Josh McDaniels and the New England Patriots. He gets the ball out quickly, and he was accurate.
There's also a reason why Mac Jones was as good in his rookie year as he was. I think a part of it was that he was working out of a Josh McDaniels offense.
Yeah.
And he's a very similar type of quarterback.
Very similar.
A young quarterback that's kind of a pocket passer. Can he run on his feet? Sure. Does he need to? Not always.
Right.
And Aiden O'Connell's in a very similar scenario. Look what happened with Mac Jones when they lost Josh McDaniels. Patriots kind of went down a little bit, right? And I just think that it's really hard to coach to that kind of quarterback just because it's going away from that style of football. But Josh McDaniels is okay with that kind of football, and the two quarterbacks he has fit in that system.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
But I really feel that what Aiden O'Connell did in the preseason, I'm sure that it bumped him up the depth chart to the number 2 quarterback. I think Brian Hoyer is going to be 3rd, and we'll see if Brian Hoyer even stays on the roster. I think he probably will.
They usually keep 3.
The 3 with that emergency 3rd quarterback rule that they have now. But yeah, I really do think what he did in the preseason earned him a number 2 spot.
Yeah. We're talking the top 10 things that we learned from the NFL preseason. Number 8 on this list is talking about Derrick Henry. I think he's back to old form right now. CBS Sports, they say, he might run for 2,000 yards again.
2,000 yards again, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Ryan Tannehill, they added DeAndre Hopkins to that wide receiver core. I wouldn't be surprised if Derrick Henry, because again, he is a load. I wouldn't be surprised if he does get over 2,000 yards. Just wouldn't.
Yeah.
Would you be surprised? I mean,
No.
I'm not expecting it to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm not expecting it, but if it happens, I'm like, yeah, of course, it's Derrick Henry.
It's Derrick Henry. He's a beast.
Yeah, like it is one of those things that if it happens, I'm not surprised, and I wouldn't even think twice about it. I'd be like, yeah, of course you got 2,000.
I mean, it's kind of like, when they're describing Anthony Richardson, that he's just an athletic freak. Derrick Henry, very similar in the running back position. He is just a freak with size and speed, that big of a guy, and he can cut the way that he cuts. He can run over guys. He can run around guys. He can do it all. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if he runs over 2,000 yards. I don't think that he will, because I do think the defenses are going to make Ryan Tannehill and an old DeAndre Hopkins beat them. So they're going to stack the box against Derrick Henry, but still, stacking the box sometimes doesn't even matter because he'll just lower the boom and go.
Yeah, he'll just go.
So
take it to the outside too. I mean, there's so many options that he can do. Number 9 on this is just don't discount another Rams collapse.
I've said this. I think the Rams are going to have a bounce back season.
Well, now this is saying that it's possible that they'll fall apart again.
Oh, that's true.
That's what they're saying here on CBS Sports.
I think just the opposite. I think that the Rams are going to have a bounce back season. I'm not going to say they're going to go to the Super Bowl like they did 2 years ago, but I do think they're going to have a bounce back season. Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, both healthy. I just think they're going to have a nice season. I do. I think they're going to be second in that division behind the Niners. And then you've got Seattle. I think he'll finish 3rd. I think Geno Smith, is he the real deal, or did he have a breakout season because the expectations were low? Now the expectations are higher. Is he going to be able to
He's got such
handle
good
that?
Receivers, though.
He does have good receivers, but there was high expectations with him early in his career. He couldn't make it happen. So I'm a little skeptical of the Seahawks and Geno Smith. Again, could be wrong. I expect the Rams to have a little bit better than Seattle, and obviously Arizona's going to bring it up the cellar.
Yeah, and I'm still on the Rams being 3rd in that division. I think that Seattle will be better. I'm not going to say it's full-blown collapse, but I also don't think it's full-blown rebuild either. I just think that it's mediocrity right now for the Rams this year. That's kind of where I'm standing, but we'll see. It could be either way. Number 10, final one, Jordan Love. He seems to have the touch. He's ready for it. He's ready for the big stage.
I think so too. Just the stuff that we've seen in the preseason. You know, he has a lively arm. He's had one since coming out of Utah, no doubt about it. We've seen that. I mean, as fans growing up, we saw him in college. He has a rocket for an arm. But one thing that he's demonstrating in the preseason now too is he's got some touch.
Yeah.
Especially going into the end zone, he has shown some really nice touch to his receivers, and I hope, fingers crossed, that he throws about 13 touchdowns to Luke Musgrave with that nice touch in the end zone.
I think you hope it. I think Utah State fans hope it. I think everybody's hoping it. So, all right. Thanks for joining us on the show today. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow, Tuesday, same time, same place, 4 o'clock, right here on the Fan Sports Network. Have a good one, everybody.